Hello there, welcome to the Football Bloc, and my name is Brendan, and today I'm going to give you my predictions for the final of Euro 2024. So if that sounds interesting, let's hop right into it.
One step beyond.
So the final for Euro 2024 is finally here. We have two teams left, England versus Spain. They will be competing against each other to see who can grab the crown and become kings of Europe for the year of 2024. Two teams that have had very different paths to the final, two teams that play a very different style of football. It's going to be a very interesting matchup, in my opinion. Before we get on to who I think will score, what I think the scorelines will be, how the teams are going to line up, let's look at these teams and what path they've had up into this point. Let's start off with Spain. They were drawn into a very tough group. It was the group of death that many people said. They were drawn in a group alongside Croatia, Italy, the reigning champions, as well as Albania, who, despite being the least talented team in the group, they were no pushover. They're a team that's going to fight very hard. And while this group ended up being really tough for Italy and Croatia, Spain won every single one of their games without conceding a single goal. They smashed Croatia. They completely outplayed Italy, and if not for Donnarumma, they would have smashed them as well. And then they played a complete rotational side against Albania and still came away with a pretty professional 1-0 win. Into the round of 16, they went up against Georgia, one of the surprise teams of this tournament. And, Georgia gave them a good game. It was an admirable performance from them, but they were still a step below where Spain was. They wiped the floor with them. It was 4-1 on the night. And then Spain went up against Germany, the host nation. And in my opinion, up until that point, arguably the best team in the tournament. It was really between Spain and Germany overall, who has been the overall best team at Euro 2020, or 2024, excuse me. And some people have said this was the final before the final. Might be a little disrespectful to say, but it really was a game between two top-class teams playing at 100%. At the end of the day, it was Spain. They came out on top. I think that they were better on the night. They opened the score with a good goal from Dani Olmo. But Wirtz tied it up. The German crowd was really riling up this German team. But then in extra time was the 119th winner, the header from Mikel Merino, that sent Spain to the semifinals, where they went up against France, a team that had not really been playing to the fullest extent in terms of their attacking output, but were still a very, very tough opponent. And despite the fact that France was able to sneak a goal to open the scoring there, Spain just clicked into overdrive and wiped the floor with France throughout the rest of the first half. Lamine Yamal scored a worldie. Dani Olmo scored a really nice goal as well. And then they did all their work in the first half. They were able to kind of just chill out for the second half and secure the lead, get here to the final. And, the way that this Spanish team has played, they have been the most exciting team at the Euros. The whole team from front to back, whether it be Laporte and either Lenormand or Vivian or Nacho, any of the other center back pairings at the back have been solid. Cucurella has been one of the best, if not the best, left back in the tournament. Dani Carvajal has also been really, really good. Unai Simon, who I've been very critical of, has shown up. He has one or two mistakes in him. He's shown that a little bit here at this tournament, but he's also been popping up with some really important saves. He's been a calm pair of hands at the back. The midfield, though, is the engine of the team. Unfortunately, Pedri is not going to be able to play in this game through that injury after that horror tackle from Toni Kroos that, so bad that he even apologized for. But Fabian Ruiz and Dani Olmo in place of Pedri, as well as Rodri, has been just an immaculate midfield there. The way that they control the game, the way that they control the tempo, defensively, offensively, everything that they offer, it has been truly amazing to see. The most exciting part of this team, though, is the wingers. Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal, these two really young guys on the wings, have been amazing for Spain. And then Alvaro Morata, he's been pretty reliable up top for Spain. It's a very, very well-drilled, well-oiled team. When Luis de la Fuente was hired as the coach of Spain, I wasn't fully convinced. Even after they won the Nations League this time last year, I wasn't fully convinced either. Now, you can make an argument that they are the absolute best team in the world, let alone at the Euros. The style that they play, I've said this many times before on this channel. I feel like I say this every time I talk about Spain. But it is a new way, a new imagining, a new vision of the Spanish team where they utilize the wings. They are very quick. They're very direct. It is different than the Spain of old, where they'd hold on to the ball and they're just very slow. When they have slow build up, death by 1,000 passes, as they stereotypically would say. Now it's the ball moves so much faster. The players are so much faster. It's very high intensity, high pressure, but they still have the Spanish DNA. They're still very technical. They're still very good, talented passers of the ball. And while possession isn't everything, they're not killing themselves over trying to hold more possession than the other team. They still do prioritize possession there. It's just not the end-all, be-all like before at the World Cup 2010, Euro 2012 when they won it, and even in past iterations as recent as World Cup 2022 under Lucho Enrique. But now let's look on to their opponent. We have England, a team that on paper at least no one would have batted an eye if you said before the tournament that they would eventually make it to the final. In fact, they were the finalist in Euro 2020, but the performances on the field haven't necessarily matched up with the results that they're getting. In the group stage, they were drawn into a, by their standards, a relatively easy group alongside Serbia, Denmark, and Slovenia, excuse me. But they only won one of those games. They only scored 2 goals. They just did enough to beat Serbia, a team that doesn't really have much attacking output, ironically so, considering the players they have. But they held on for the win there. And then, in my opinion, they were completely outplayed by Denmark. And if it wasn't for a lucky goal from Harry Kane that they had in the first half, Denmark would have came away with the win. They almost very well did. And then in the last game against Slovenia, England, it was just played very dull. It was a very lethargic, boring performance. And, they got the result. They tied it 0-0. They secured top spot of the group. They went through against Slovakia. And that game, I felt Slovakia was the better team. They outplayed them. They scored first. There was a, really well put together goal. They opened up holes in the English defense. But because of the world-class players that England have, in particular in this match, was Jude Bellingham scoring a bicycle kick at the end of regulation, and then at the very beginning of extra time, Harry Kane popping up with a good header. They find themselves through to the quarterfinals, where it's almost essentially the same exact thing happened. England had an improved performance, but it still wasn't enough. You still didn't see this cutting edge from the team against Switzerland. Switzerland actually did open the score very late in the match. It looked like Switzerland was going to be going through. But then out of nowhere, Saka, world-class player, shows his world-class talent, why he's one of the best players in the world, scores a very nice goal. Goes to penalties, surprisingly so. Credit to England, they won this penalty shootout. They've been haunted by penalty shootouts in the past, but they won this one here where they had a game against the Netherlands. And in this game, though, while England still wasn't playing to where I think they should be, I think this was overall a good performance. I think they outperformed the Netherlands here. And also, I've been very critical of Gareth Southgate, and I still think deservedly so, but you do have to give credit where credit is due. And, his substitutions there, where he subbed on Ollie Watkins, who ended up scoring the winner with only a few seconds left on the clock, led to England overcoming the Netherlands and making it here to the final. Now, you can say that England has performed in a subpar manner, which I have been saying, and I think is outwardly true. But you also just have to look at the reality. They are in the final. They are 90 minutes away from winning Euro 2024. How exactly did they get here? And I think the team mentality is a part of it. The biggest part of it probably is just their defensive structure. They're not, a defensive gargantuan or anything like that, but they make it really hard for teams to break them down, for teams to score against them. They haven't conceded that many goals, and if you look at the goals that they have conceded, they usually are either pieces of individual brilliance, like I believe how you pronounce his name is Hoyman, the Danish midfielder who scored the long shot against England in the group stage, or that long shot from Xavi Simons in the semifinals, or the goals that were well put together, like the goal from Slovakia, and also against Switzerland, the goal that they conceded from Briel and Bolo did take a bit of a lucky deflection there. So, they've only conceded those 4 goals as well. So defensively, I think that has been their strength, which is ironic because, you don't have the same names on the page that you had back in Euro 2020 or even World Cup 2018. It's a lot of new guys coming into the team, but they have been playing well enough. Now, the constant criticism that I have of Gareth Southgate, though, is it seems like that he's, putting restrictions on this team in terms of their attacking output. You just look at all the talented attackers that they have, whether it be someone like, of course, Harry Kane or Jude Bellingham or Saka or Cole Palmer, any of these guys. If you feel like if you just let them play how they want to play, they'd score a bucket loads of goals. But again, a supporter of Gareth Southgate can just turn around and say to someone like me, hey, look, they're in the final. So there's many ways to view it. But if you compare these two teams together, despite the fact that England has had a very heroic path to the final where they have snatched victory from the jaws of defeat many times in a row, I think you just have to acknowledge, though, that Spain has just been the better team. Throughout this tournament, the way that Spain has been playing, I think there is a gap in between how they've been playing and where England is. And then also players on the field as well. The way that this Spanish team works together, I think player by player, they're probably a more talented team. But then also just the team collective, I think is much better than England here. I think that Spain will come out on top. I don't think that England, despite being so solid defensively, has an answer for this unstoppable Spanish offense. I think this is going to be Spain's game to lose. They have to, there's a lot of young guys in the team. I think they just have to make sure that they don't get ahead of themselves because this is their game to lose. Do you really think that for the entirety of the 90 minutes that England can be able to stop a single goal coming in from whether it be Nico Williams or Lamine Yamal or Dani Olmo or Fabian Ruiz or Morata or any of these guys, the guys coming off the bench for Spain as well, who have been, whether it be Ferran Torres, who scored the crucial goal against Albania, or Mikel Merino, who scored the crucial goal against Germany. This is, I think going into the tournament, Spain has been kind of a sleeper team, but now looking back in hindsight, it's crazy that people didn't see how good this team was going to be. I don't think England has an answer for that, especially when you look at France and Germany or Croatia and Italy. They didn't have an answer to it either. You can call me an England hater. You can say that I'm biased towards Spain. This is all true. I've been very open about that. I support Spain when it comes to the Euros. Yes, I'm an American, but when it comes to the Euros, I root for both Spain and Portugal for, my heritage, ancestral heritage. Also, I'm a Barcelona fan. I love a lot of the Spanish players. And for similar reasons, I hate England. I'm a professional England hater. I still think I'm being neutral here, though. You can call me biased, and perhaps there is some bias in it, but I still think I'm being truthful here in that I think England is not going to come out and win this final. As for my specific score prediction, I think that the way that the game is going to run, the way the narrative is going to be played out, I think that Spain, we've seen this against France. We saw this against Germany as well. They're going to be very intense in the opening minutes, and I think they will score an early goal. I think that Alvaro Morata, who hasn't scored since the first game of this tournament, but he's been pulling up with some good performances. I think he will score here. In particular, he has a chip on his shoulder. His tenure in England in the Premier League didn't go as well. I think he will open the score here after, maybe a quick transition or quick run of play or something like that. Then from that moment on, Spain will be, comfortable throughout the rest of the game. England will be playing frantically, but it's not going to work like it works against, Slovakia or Switzerland, teams that England was able to, out of nowhere, grab a winner with the talented players that they have, because just overall, they were the better team. This is, I think, the first time that they are playing a team that is just on paper better than them. I don't think that they're going to be able to come up with those last-minute heroics again. And in fact, I think they're going to overextend themselves so much that towards the end of the second half, Spain will score a second goal. I'm going to say maybe Dani Olmo scores, after a quick counterattack or something like that. And that puts the game to bed. I'm going to say Spain 2, England 0 for the final of Euro 2024. Let me know if you agree or if you disagree. Do you think that I'm completely overhyping this Spanish team? And do you think I'm underestimating England? Do you think, Harry Kane is going to finally win a trophy? Do you think Jude Bellingham is going to score and win yet another major trophy for this year? Do you think that one of these talented English players are going to pop up with a heroic save at the end of the game and win the game for their country? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this video with a friend. But anyway, guys, my name is Brandon. This has been the Football Bloc. I hope you have a nice rest of your night.
One step beyond.